Okay. Right, looks like we're live. It's about a little after 12:30. It is Tuesday, of course, because it's Timeout Tuesday. And in fact, not only is it Timeout Tuesday, it is our 80th episode of doing Timeout Tuesday. So this is now the 80th time I'm coming to you live on a Tuesday. 80 episodes ago, I kind of vowed that I was going to do this every week, and I'm just pleased that I'm actually coming through with that every single week for you. So it is 80 episodes. That's a lot of stuff to have talked about. I didn't even know I had that much stuff to talk about. But actually, what's interesting is that each week, as I think about what I want to talk about, it tends to be actually a very easy thing because things seem to fall into my lap. I guess with being at the dojo 5 to 7 days a week, we have a few dozen classes every week, and with a few hundred students making their way in and out of the dojo all the time, there's so much interaction between the parents and the children and our instructors. So much is always going on that I actually find it fairly easy to come up with content for these videos. So I hope that you're enjoying them, and if you are, I always appreciate the likes and the stuff that you guys can send across the screen, the hearts and the thumbs ups and all that kind of stuff. It kind of lets me know that the audience is paying attention a little bit. And you can always let me know if you think something I'm saying is totally off the wall, or if you agree with it, whichever. Today I changed the title was Change the Rhythm. And the easy part was coming up with the content. The hard part was actually spelling rhythm. I came up with 5 different iterations before I decided to look it up, and actually had to have it looked at by someone else because it still didn't look right to me. But in any case, I titled the video "Change the Rhythm," and the reason for it really has to do with some interaction that I had with a student the other day. This particular student had come into class. We had an impromptu class last week. It was sort of not during our normally scheduled time. I just wanted to open up the dojo. It was a real hot day. I wanted to open up the dojo for anybody that wanted to train. I really only announced it about an hour before the class, so I didn't really have a particularly high expectation of large attendance. But, I showed up because anybody that wanted to come in, in some cases, less is more, right? So if you come in and you're the only one there, you wind up with a private lesson. Well, that was actually what happened in this particular case. One of our students came in. She's a middle intermediate rank, meaning that she's wearing an orange belt. And she came into practice, and she was working on a whole bunch of her stuff, and one of our instructors was working with them. And then I kind of came over and said, hey, how you doing with all your requirements? How you doing? Are you getting ready to test again? And she said, yeah, I know most of my stuff. And I was surprised. I said, what do you mean by most? And she said, well, she's struggling with pre-designated number 4. That just happens to be one of our self-defense techniques. What it is not particularly important. It's 1 out of 10 self-defense techniques that they work on. And I was surprised to hear her say that she was struggling with number 4 because I specifically remembered working with her earlier in the week, and I was watching her do it, and I thought she was doing it famously. So I said to her, I'm surprised to hear that. I thought you were doing a great job of it the other day. She goes, oh no, I can do it fine when I have somebody attacking me and I'm actually defending myself. That's not a problem at all. Where I'm struggling is when I try to practice it alone. And I said, oh, are you considering practicing it alone part of your requirements? Because it's actually not one of the requirements on our requirement sheets, which our students use to monitor whether or not they really are ready for their test. It's just not listed on there as a practice or demonstration method. And she said, well, a long time ago I had mentioned that practicing them by yourself without a partner is a really great way of delving more deeply into it and learning it from a different perspective. And she had then decided that regardless of the fact that it was a requirement for testing, it was her new requirement, that she was going to make sure that before she considered it known to her, she was going to have practiced it this additional way. And I thought to myself, wow, that's like pretty much the gold mine of teaching, to find out that your students are adopting the alternative methods that you're demonstrating to them or showing them how they can really develop muscle memory and how to really learn something inside out. And I was really just thrilled to hear that she had adopted this method. One of the things that we do as we're teaching difficult concepts. For example, forms, or otherwise known as katas, is something that's taught in our system of martial arts. We teach a traditional system of martial arts, and a traditional system of martial arts almost always contains katas or forms. These are predetermined sets of movements that you do. Some people might equate it to learning a dance routine, except in this particular dance routine, we're practicing techniques for grappling, hitting, punching, things like that without a partner. So we're doing it in the air over and over again to establish muscle memory and stances and hand positions and all the other things. And we do that over and over again. And repetition can certainly become tiresome, especially if you just consider it rote, that it's something that you're just doing because you have to do it. And one of the things that I stress to our students is that these are like secret codes. These are messages that have been combined into these routines, and the more you study them, the more you understand them, the better you get at karate, and the better you get at these katas, the more you can dissect them and apply them in different ways. So it's a really critical component of what we teach and how we teach it. And it's one of the things that happens sometimes, especially with younger students who don't really understand that concept, is that if you're practicing something over and over in the same rhythm, and it becomes, sort of like saying the alphabet, A, B, C, boring. And I stress to them that to really understand something, you should try doing things in different rhythms. We're not going to necessarily change the order of this particular routine, but if you do it in different rhythms, so let's say, for example, you had to do 10 push-ups over and over and over again. That can get fairly boring. Mentally, you're just going to be counting out these 10s over and over again. So one of the things that I've always done when I'm doing things over and over again, in a sequence like in the 10s, is I start counting them in different pieces. So I'll count it as 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. And I'll do that a couple of times, and then I'll just change it to 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. Different ways of getting to 10 causes me to kind of think about it, take my mind off the fact that maybe I'm just doing 10 push-ups over and over again. And with katas and things like that, learning to do things not just like a metronome, but rather in different timing sequences really exposes a different way of applying techniques, and I think it's a really critical way of learning, and I think it's something that you can apply to lots of different things. I know I do this also when I'm learning how to play something on guitar or practicing things like scales. I don't want to just do it in the same rhythm every time. I try to do it in different rhythms so that it's more interesting to me and a little bit more challenging. So my suggestion is to change your rhythm. To try things in different ways, different orders, do things as slow as you can, as fast as you can, change the tempo from very slow to very fast in midstream, then change the tempo at a different time. And that really becomes a much more interesting way of learning something, and it's, in my opinion, one of the best ways of really learning something inside out. So my Time Out Tuesday advice for today is change the rhythm. Especially when you're learning things that you're considering to be somewhat mundane. And it'll make it more interesting, and by the time you learn it and you really understand it, you're going to be able to teach it to someone and explain it in a way that really no one else can. And that's really it for Time Out Tuesday today. It is episode 80. I'm thrilled to be coming to you guys. I'll look forward to 81, and I look forward to hitting 100 in a couple of months. So that's it for Time Out Tuesday. I hope everyone has a fantastic day today. Peace.